Hey guys, it's NightWolf
And Erimus Prime.
And Darth Forge.
from Nerdy Geek Talk, the source for all your nerdy geeky needs. And today we have sort of a news video and basically just our opinions on, if you haven't heard, Steve Rogers in the MCU is, well, they released news saying that he's not, when he, at the Civil War, when he dropped the shield, that was him giving up the mantle of Captain America. And so basically we're discussing what we think can come next, and also how Chris Evans only signed on for one more movie because he was originally signed on for 9, then he negotiated it down to 6, and he's done 3 Captain America movies and 2 Avengers, so Avengers Infinity War should be his last one. So, initial reactions. Are you guys happy about it or sad or?
I'd say I'm somewhat happy because it's possible that there could be change now, which I'm definitely down for. If I think I've mentioned it on other videos before, I am very much in favor of the idea of someone else becoming Captain America. Yeah, pretty much that. So I have other thoughts on this topic too, but my main take on this is I'm glad that it's making it more possible for what I want to happen.
Darth Forge, what are your initial reactions to this news?
I think it's interesting. I think if they do it well in a story that is very interesting and engaging, I will like it. But as some of the main actors' contracts start to go away, it is kind of an interesting thought of what's going to happen to some of the characters and how are they going to deal with it, and in what way are they going to deal with it.
My initial reaction was almost yay, just because, not that I dislike Chris Evans at all. First of all, he's a great actor, and he's done great as Steve Rogers. I would just really like to see Bucky or Falcon being Captain America. Again, that might not happen. And I also think they have a really big opportunity for, I'm assuming they're going to have Steve Rogers die, but they could just have him, quit and never be seen again. But I think they have an opportunity to make a really big moment in Infinity War Part 1, even though
It's not Part 1
yeah,
anymore.
it's not Part 1 anymore, sorry. It's just Avengers 3 Infinity War. I think they have a really big opportunity to make his death really impactful and a moment in cinematography, something history.
Cinema history.
Cinema
movie
history.
Whatever you want to say.
Movie history.
Um,
Big words are for nerds.
so I'm excited at this announcement. I am, unlike Nightwolf. I won't say I kind of am. I am, because it is definitely. I do not like Steve Rogers. That's just a me thing. Totally my personal preference. Has nothing to do with anything else. No, really, it's just my opinion. Nothing else. But so that's why I am excited. But what do I think is actually going to happen? I don't think this is going to last 10 minutes into the movie. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But what I think will most likely happen is I think that he's going to take up the mantle of Captain America 10 to 20 minutes into the movie again. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I bet that he will, if not in the very beginning, at some point in the movie. And then if he dies, which, again, I kind of hope for, sounds kind of mean, but I like other Captain Americas more. I would love to see another character take up the mantle. That's my end game. That's what I want most, is someone else to take up the mantle, because I really it's Steve Rogers is my least favorite Captain America, so have someone else take up the mantle. And again, like Nightwolf said, I have nothing against Chris Evans. He's a great actor. I have nothing against him. I just don't like the character of Steve Rogers a lot, so I think this news isn't. I don't think it's going to be relative at all, because I think he's going to take up the title again. I think it's more of what I'm excited about is the fact that it's his last movie.
I think what would be incredible, I don't really think this is likely, but I think it would be incredible if they had like Steve Rogers half like in the movie of Infinity Wars for most of it, like he's kind of involved, kind of not, but he's like definitely not Captain America and stuff. And then like in a final battle with Thanos,
He takes up the shield.
he grabs the shield and he's still not really like Captain America, like he doesn't suit up as Captain America, but he like uses the shield and like he kind of basically beats Thanos, but like Thanos breaks the shield and he dies, but it's like he like accomplishes something amazing, like, and then like his death would be like amazing.
I could definitely see something like that happening, except for the part with him beating Thanos. I don't think there's a chance he hasn't beating Thanos.
I don't think he would like beat Thanos, but I think if he just like
I think his
did
death,
something really important,
yeah, like a heroic death,
and
like,
then like
I think so too.
or he's just like, even if he's just like holding off Thanos while like Iron Man is off destroying some weapon or something, and then like Thanos like breaks the shield and kills him, and then like right at that moment Iron Man finishes, and then Thanos' plan is ruined. I think that could be really cool.
I think it'd be more interesting to see something definitely along those lines, but him pretty much the same scenario, but the fact that his death is what drives the other Avengers to the breaking point,
yeah.
and they kill Thanos, and that's not necessarily he's the one that killed Thanos, but his death is what caused the death of Thanos because it drove the other Avengers to kill Thanos. And I don't know if he'll necessarily take out the mantle of Captain America if that were to happen, like at the very end. He would definitely use the shield, I think. Otherwise, the moment just wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be impactful as much, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think if they're gonna have them die, which I definitely think is what's gonna happen. I know for sure, but I definitely think that's what is gonna happen. I think that would be the way to do it. Just at least have him like be using the shield, because if he just dies as Steve Rogers, it could still be impactful, but I think that would be the best. Like if they're like, what are we gonna do? We all have to go do something, and Thanos is just on a rampage, and then they're like, we have this shield, let's call Steve. That would be really cool. Also, a few like news sources that aren't like purely comic book news have been speculating that he could possibly become Nomad. There is no way. If you don't know who Nomad is, after a terrorist organization like infiltrated the U.S. government, and then there was like a huge cover-up, Steve Rogers was basically like, I hate America, and or more like hated the government, but he didn't want to be Captain America anymore because the country was so corrupted, and so he became Nomad, which is his costume was ridiculous, like a huge like cape and like a V going down his chest. It looked really weird, but there's no way they're gonna do that.
yeah, I think the concept of him being Nomad is very likely to happen, but not the name or the costume or anything like a title, like him changing his name. It's more of him giving up the mantle of Captain America because he's disillusioned with everything that's happened. Not necessarily the government, but disillusioned with what's happened. So I think that's like the point of what Nomad will be carried across somewhat. But yeah, definitely he's not going to be a new superhero. Like he is not going to be Nomad.
Another possibility is him maybe going back to like be more affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D. and be more of like a behind the scenes guy almost.
He sort of did that in the comics. I don't think that's likely though.
I don't
because
either.
He's not, because S.H.I.E.L.D. is like kind of worse than the government sometimes. They do very questionable things, like really questionable. And he's never ever been like, yay S.H.I.E.L.D. Shield's great. It's the greatest thing ever. Like, no. So I doubt he's going to go from being on the Avengers, which he did feel like, yay, Avengers, we're great. I doubt he's going to go from that team to being on Shield's team when nobody loves Shield that much.
Darth Forge, have you been watching Agents of Shield or no? Because me and Erimus have
Not this past season. Not this past season, but I have seen a couple of the seasons.
I am interested in catching up with that because they're doing Humans, which
Yeah.
that interests me. I did not like the show at first.
I just really hope they actually do an Inhumans movie because they've just been pushing it back.
I don't
But
know.
I think
It happen.
I hope it happens.
Me too.
Because Inhumans are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited by that.
Obviously,
Even if they don't do a movie, they're gonna continue with the storyline in the show.
what I really want, I haven't seen Agents of Shield. I think I'm the pilot, but I haven't been keeping up to date with it at all. I think it would be really cool if they brought Coulson back into the cinematic universe. Do I think that's likely? No, but I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely. I don't know how I'd feel about it, like whether I think it'd be cool or not, but I don't think it's possible because of the fact that like that just
Yeah, everyone
no
would just
way
be
that
like,
they-
"Wow,
they
he's
can't-
dead."
Yeah, they sort of explained it on the TV show. I don't like the reasoning they gave on the TV show, and in the movie, like there's a lot more people that watch the movies that don't watch that TV show, so they would have no idea, and so you'd have to explain it, and it's just not a situation they'd want to put themselves in. I do like Agent Coulson, but yeah, not likely. But in terms of if Cap is no longer Cap and someone else takes up the mantle, or Cap dies and someone else is going to take up the mantle, let's just, all three of us say, who do you think's going to be the one that takes up the mantle? So, okay, say who you think it will be and who you want it to be. So those two. NightWolf, you can go first.
Well, if you were to die, and I think if they hadn't died in the way that I think they should, I think I think no one would want to become Captain America because it would just become such an impactful death, even if you love Captain America. But if they were going to have someone take up the mantle, I definitely want it to be Bucky over Sam Wilson, but I don't know. I feel like it would probably be Bucky. I wouldn't be upset with Sam Wilson Captain America at all either. I like Sam Wilson a lot too, and I think both are very possible. I think Bucky might just be a little more possible just because he's not the most similar to Steve Rogers as in like ideology and stuff. Bucky is like, he was around in the 40s too, and he's just as old, and he's kind of like his friend. Sam Wilson has a lot of the same ideologies and stuff in his personality to Steve Rogers in the movies. So I think it could definitely be either. But I think it was a little more likely to be Bucky.
Just to be clear, when I say take up the mantle, it doesn't have to be in the same movie. So it wouldn't have to happen in Infinity War. I know your answer still stands, but I'm just saying that, like, because I agree that if Captain America like gave his life and like towards the end and died, I don't think anyone would be like, I'm Captain America! Like 5 seconds after he died, like, I'm Captain now.
And also I think if they do want someone to become Captain America, I think they should definitely have them like talk over like what it means to be Captain America and stuff with like the Avengers and like everyone. Like there should be some discussion and development there, so we know like who Captain America is, if it's not just Steve Rogers.
Also, just one thing to point out that you said that, just to be clear, Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers do not have ideologies in the comics. In the movies, we don't know because they don't get deep debates about ideological things in like 20-minute segments.
Comics.
So, what are your political stances, Steve Rogers? Like, no, they don't do that. In the
They
comics,
sit around and enjoy
that is a
councils.
big thing about Sam Wilson's Captain America. Like his whole story arc is the fact that he approaches things very differently from Steve Rogers.
In the comics.
Yeah, so we don't know how to play out in the movies. Darth Forge, you go next. Who do you want to be Captain America, and who do you think will be Captain America?
I think it'd be really interesting to have somebody that isn't Buck or Falcon.
I think that's cool too, actually.
Like somebody randomly comes out, like somebody finds the shield, and they start using it, and everyone's always like, "Who the hell is this guy? You know, like why is he pretending to be Captain America?" I think it will be Bucky or Falcon though.
Which one? You gotta pick one.
I would have to say probably Falcon.
That's who you think it'd be? Huh, interesting.
Yeah, because of the comics, really.
I was listening to a podcast and they jokingly said hashtag Coulson for Cap.
So as for who I think it will be, I think it will be Steve Rogers. Because I think that, like I already said, I think he's going to take up the mantle again in this movie. And if he dies, I think he'll get resurrected at some point. I don't want him to, but that would be my guess. That I would not. I'd feel safe placing a bet on that if that happened. I would feel comfortable betting that he would come back. Is that what I want? No. What I want is Sam Wilson, Falcon, Cap. I love Sam Wilson, Captain America comic. Again, totally different for the movie. So to be a totally different adaptation, I don't know whether I like his movie or not. But going from the comics, I love his comics. So, and I like him a lot as Captain America and how they flesh that out. I really like Sam Wilson, Captain America, not just Sam Wilson. I like him as Captain America specifically. So I would love for them to tackle that in the movies.
Mm-hmm. And this whole news kind of kicks off another point that we want to discuss, which is unlike in the comics where Marvel can just have their characters be the same age essentially for the whole time they're a superhero in the comics, they can't do that in the movies because actors' contracts are going to expire and actors are just going to get old and not be able to do it anymore at the very least. And so I want to just discuss whether we think in the future Marvel in the movies will... There's only three main options that I see. One of them is just kind of do what they can do with Captain America and have new people take up the mantle of the current heroes. So the current heroes are the same, just the people who are them kind of
not actors.
Change out.
Yeah,
not actors.
Like
in continuity, like how
Sam
Bucky,
Wilson or
Sam
Bucky
Wilson
becoming Captain America.
Captain America. If they did that with all the characters, because I know in the comics Iron Man's Tony Stark's nephew or son has become Iron Man before.
Actually, Riri is becoming Iron Heart now, and Doctor Doom's becoming Iron Man. That'll be interesting. But yeah, that sort of thing. So characters, not actors.
That's the first option. The second option is having say they had Captain America and not in it, but they just brought on a totally new character. Keep having solo movies, bring in more characters, have Black Panther and Captain Marvel, which are obviously happening, but once all these characters get once all these actors get too old and contracts expire, just keep bringing on new characters and just getting rid of Captain America and getting rid of Iron Man, so no one ever touches those tiers again. And the third option is just reboots. Not necessarily just a whole it doesn't have to be a huge reboot, but soft reboots.
It could be a soft reboot where it's it's still technically in continuity, but it's another dimension. So it doesn't. So they can have a totally different Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, but they look different because they're different actors, and it would still technically be the same universe because it's another dimension, in that universe type thing where it's they can interact that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to all go through what you think it's going to be?
I want to go around. first of all, say if you think it's gonna be a combination of anything. Also say what you really think is gonna be the main thing that they do. Like if you think they're gonna do new characters and new like people taking up the mantles, which do you think is gonna happen more and take more precedence in the universe? Erimus Prime.
So I'll go. Yeah, I'll go first. I definitely. Do I think anyone's going to take up mantles? I certainly hope so. Like, I hope that they do that with more than one character, not just Captain America, but that they have people take on the mantle of a hero that was already someone else. And then I don't think there's a doubt in any of our minds they're going to keep introducing new characters. Not necessarily I'm not saying that they will completely abandon other characters, like never have another Captain America, but there's no doubt in any of our minds there are going to be new superheroes in the movies at some point. So they're definitely going to do that. I hope they do the mantle thing. As for reboots, like I said with the soft reboot, like doing another dimension, I don't think so. They might do Spider-Verse, but that's a different thing. I hope so. But
this is totally unrelated. I just want an animated Spider-Verse movie. All I want from Marvel.
I'd like an animated too, but so I don't think they're gonna do the dimension thing, with the exception of Spider-Verse. But that's not gonna be a reboot. That's gonna be different, totally different situation. So I don't think they're gonna do a soft reboot. I personally think they're gonna be doing the new heroes and taking on the mantle for a while, and then I think they're gonna do a hard reboot eventually, like. Say the cinematic universe is done. None of this is continuing anymore. That won't be for a long time, I don't think. But I just personally think that'll happen at a certain point, whether that's like 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. I think at some point they're going to be like, okay, it's done. We're starting over. Here's your new Tony Stark. Here's your new Captain America. And then they could play it off as a soft reboot and say, it's another dimension, but I don't think that's how they're going to approach it. I think they're going to say, we're starting over. Look at this. So that's my thoughts. I think it's going to be sort of all three eventually.
Darth Forge, your thoughts? I would like it to have, like, new characters are going to take up the mantles of these superheroes. But I don't want the original characters out of there completely. Like, they're too old to be doing it, but they're kind of there if they need to mentor the new superheroes. Kind of like how in DC, there's the Justice League, but then there's the old Secret Society of America, whatever it is. And there's
Society
the old
America, yeah.
Yeah, and they're the old superheroes that are too old to be superheroes, but they're there if they need them.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool. Personally, I think it's going to be a combination of mantles and new characters. And like Aramis said, I think a hard reboot eventually is inevitable, but I don't think it's in the near future right now. Just because Marvel plans for so long that, like, it couldn't happen for at least, like, almost 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen for at least like 20 or so years.
Yeah.
Just me personally, I think they're going to go other routes until they've exhausted it to the point where it's like, okay, people want to see Tony Stark Iron Man, Steve Rogers Captain America, like that kind of thing. So I just think it'll be a while.
I think they're going to do some new mantle things, but I think they're going to do more new characters, because if you keep having people become the same character, it doesn't get boring because they are new people, but you just can't do that for everyone, because first of all, it's kind of weird if you did that for everyone. Like, for some characters it's very appropriate, but you can't do that for everyone. And I think definitely people would get kind of a little bit tired of it. Like, why are we just seeing these people just being other people, but like the same hero? I think the main route they're gonna go is new characters for at least a long time. Just because that never, like, you're never like, oh, another new character, unless you already know the character and you don't like them or anything, because a new character is always something different. They're never the same. as another character. That said, I would love to see the Ultimate Universe be introduced into the MCU. I don't think that'll happen for a long time, if it ever does, but I think that would be really cool. Or even if they just, because I know Marvel movies can do stuff very different from the comics, I think it would be cool even if they just put some Ultimate characters into the MCU. Like they introduced Miles Morales to the cinematic universe, but it's still not like another dimension. It's just still not like the Ultimate Universe. They just have some of the characters be introduced. Like obviously then you can't have ultimate versions of Steve Rogers or of Reed Richards or anything, but that's not in the MCU. But like Ultimate Spider-Man, that's like a totally different person. I think that would be really cool if they just introduced them into the universe as just part of the universe. I think that would be cool. So I think that's about all we have to say on the topic.
Yeah.
So
Anything else, Darth Forge?
No, that's about it. I just it's very interesting how they're going, and I just hope they do it well.
Yeah.
mhm.
I hope they mean it when they say that he actually gave the mantle, and that like that'll at least last for part of the movie, not just like 5 minutes and he takes it back up again, because that would kind of destroy the effect it had when he dropped the shield at the end of Civil War. So yeah, like you said, I'm not saying that they can't have him take up the mantle for a little while and that it would completely ruin it. I'm just saying they should handle it carefully so that way they don't ruin the ending of Civil War. You know?
I totally agree. I just don't. I feel like that's not something that Marvel would do, or at least something I hope they would know not to do. But if that happened, yes, I would be very upset. But so we can all plug in our Twitters and where people can find us on the interwebs.
Yeah, so social media, only one that I really use is Twitter. I'm at Erimus Prime, ERIMUSPRIME, no underscore or anything, just all that, no spaces. Yeah, that's pretty much all I use, and I'll respond to whatever you say, especially Transformers things, but I also love superheroes.
I'm NightWolf, and you can find me on Twitter at NightWolf689, NightWolf689, and also make sure to follow Nerdy Geek Talk on Twitter at NERDYGEEKTALK, and all our other shows like Awesome Asylum and TF Primecast. Just their Twitters are their show names. So Darth Forge, where could people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Instagram at John_the_Foreman, and John has no H in it. It's spelled correctly.
I agree that is the correct spelling. And on that note, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment what you think, and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new nerdy geeky video.
See you
Thanks,
guys.
guys.